Welcome to Freelancer to CEO Virtual Summit. Today actually happens to be my first um, interview or recording of one of the talks, and I am so pleased that it is Nicola Cross. You would have already seen it from the page wherever you are that our guest today is Nicola Cross. Let me just give a brief introduction of who she is, and then we will take it away from there. So Nicola Cross is a successful business author, speaker, podcast host at Own It, the podcast, and she loves to mentor business owners to transform their businesses to give them more time, more profit, and to better support their dreams. So, Nicola, take it from there. Tell us about yourself, and then also tell us. I just wanted to know, why did you call your podcast Own It?
Well, thank you very much for asking me on the summit, Emmy. I'm really thrilled to be here and enjoying talking to you. Basically, I started at the age of 38 as a clueless, aspiring entrepreneur who'd failed so many times I can't tell you. Had to get, I'd start a business and then have to go and get a job. Start a business, have to go and get a job. And at 38, I had two small children. I had one sleeping upstairs and one cooking. And I suddenly realized that I had to get a grip and take responsibility for my life and find out what it was that I didn't know that successful people knew. At some point, I wrote a book called The Money Gym. It was when I was at the hotel and I was writing a weekly email newsletter to go out to people who'd heard about the hotel and wanted to know how I did it. So I was writing a weekly e-zine, as they were called. And then it turned into a book called The Money Gym. And then one of my clients was a lady called Judith Morgan. And she became a Money Gym client because the book turned into a coaching program, and then it turned into workshops at the hotel. And she came to one of the workshops and we got on so well that we started a podcast together called Own It. And I think we did nearly 300 episodes of that one. And it's still online. If you go to my YouTube channel and just put in, look for the playlist, you'll find Own It, the podcast.
Yeah, I actually saw, I actually listened to a couple of episodes yesterday. Yeah,
she's good fun. She's good fun.
Yeah,
we had a laugh. And then that came to an end and I started my Clicks and Leads podcast, which is essentially interviews that I do occasionally with people. And also I turn all my YouTube videos into podcast episodes, because the ones that are visual, I don't so much, but the ones that are just information with me talking, they go into podcast episodes quite easily. And that's called Clicks and Leads. But I've been mainly... the main thing, as I mentioned to you before, is I became obsessed, is a good word, with what makes some people rich and other people not. And I've discovered it's a mixture of practical things and psychological things. So when I had the Money Gym business, I started marketing it online, because I got online really early. I bought my first domain name in 1995 when I was pregnant with my daughter. I bought my name.
I will say this because I know you're such a modest person and very very humble and very unassuming. I mean, Nicola has been in the online space for 25 plus years, and it's not a made up 25 plus years. Like I could say I've been in this online space since 2008 because I had my first computer in 2008. So, but that doesn't make sense. When did you actually start doing business? She's been in the online space for 25 plus years, and she's interviewed hundreds of the people, the names that you would know. She has been featured in dozens of magazines, Cosmo, CNN, and loads and loads of magazines. I'm sure you see the bio there. So she's bringing, Nicola brings a lot of experience. Not just the experience of the things that we can learn on a course. but the experience of what it is, what it means to actually run an online business, what it feels like, looks like, tastes like, smells like, and she's seen all sides of things. She's been very successful. She's had some failures and up and down along the way. So I just wanted to interject that so that that we're not just saying things just from what we read in a book.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's all been hard won experience, that's for sure. So and offline as well. I had to I have run hotels before, but when I bought my hotel, I had to oversee the renovation of it, and I had to do that in 12 weeks flat because we wanted to get open by the summer. Oh, wow. So I ran a team of builders, and then I was marketing the hotel at the same time. And then we had guests coming on the day we were finishing the work. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I right.
just came back from a holiday in Malta, and the last hotel I stayed in, beautiful place, and the people were telling me how it took them 3 years to renovate it. So now you say you did yours in 12 weeks. I'm like,
yeah, but
wow.
Theirs is probably a bit fancier than mine. Mine was just it was nice. It was a boutique hotel. I had every room was decorated differently, but it was all from it was IKEA furniture, which was in the world of bed and breakfast. Boutique bed and breakfast was, mine was the first one in Worthing, and it was modern. And most bed and breakfasts in Worthing were not modern at all.
Yeah, I know.
So, but it was while I was marketing the hotel online that I realized how much I loved the online world. And so when I come to working with businesses now, which I've been doing since 2006, when we sold the hotel, basically I come at it from an online perspective and an offline perspective. So I can help people with marketing in the real world and online and how to fuse the two together.
Okay. So today's topic is how to make your money mindset a reality. So but I want to ask you, when you think about somebody who is a freelancer and what it takes for them to kind of like step into the role of being a CEO, in other words, get serious about your business, and what would you say to them that they need to concentrate on?
Well, it's funny you should say this, because I've had a client come back to me after about 3 or 4 years, and she is a very talented freelance graphic designer and branding manager. So she'll go into a company and she'll look at their existing branding and see what they're doing wrong and make suggestions to help. And the one thing she keeps coming up against is the fact that she's not charging enough. And that's because most freelancers work on the basis that most freelancers work on the basis that they work out what their hours are worth, and then they work out what materials they need, and then they'll perhaps add a bit on top. Whereas what I was saying to her is that you have to have what the job's going to cost, plus the amount for you as your time, plus you need to put a profit on top. And most freelancers don't put the profit on top. They don't think of it as a business that the business needs to make a profit, as well as pay you for your time and pay for any costs. So it's like this extra bit on top that most freelancers miss, and that's the bit that keeps you going in between jobs. So, and that's what enables you to make a profit in the business that takes you through the up and down times. Otherwise, you're always being caught short when you haven't got the next gig lined up.
Yeah, because there's time I was stuck in selling websites for £300, and I was like, "What to do with this £300?" Because I would say to myself, it costs maybe like less than £100 to get the hosting and everything, and I can do the websites in a couple of days. So £200 sounds fine, But now you're saying you have to make money, and your business has to make money as well.
What you have to do is you have to take yourself into the managing director's head of your business. And the best way to do this is to read a book called The E-Myth Revisited. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's brilliant. Okay. It makes you think of, you have to wear different hats. So in your business as a web designer, for example, you're wearing the web designer hat, who's doing the work. You're doing the marketing of the business. That's the marketing side of things. And you're doing the managing of the business. And what you need to do is you need to realize that all those people need to get paid, because if you're going to go out and set up a web design company, you'd need to hire a web designer, you'd need to hire someone to market the business, and then you'd be the person running the business. And all of those three people need to get paid. So you need to cover the costs, you need to cover the overheads, you need to cover the staff costs, and then you need to cover the profit that goes towards making the business able to run for the next month and the next month.
So it's actually not just saying to, so you're actually not just saying, oh, you need to increase your prices, you know, but you actually need to think about, yes, you do, but you actually think about, you actually need to think about how, you know, this is how to think when you're increasing your prices. What's the business going to earn? What am I going to earn? What's the marketing person going to earn? You know, and just think of it like a business.
And this is where the money psychology bit is so important, because a lot of people who are struggling and poor and just starting out in business, they imagine that everybody else is as poor as they are. So they say to themselves, they, you know, if I said to you, you shouldn't be doing a website under $3,000, you just shouldn't, because that's what a decent website costs. If you're a business and you go out and you work with a professional web designer, they will charge you a minimum of $3,000 just to put up a 10-page website that doesn't really do anything. Might collect names and emails, that'll be it. So what you're doing at pitching yourself at £300 is you're not charging enough to make the business viable, but you're also attracting the clients who can't really afford to pay you. Whereas if you pitch yourself at 3,000, you're still at the bottom of the range of most web designers, and you attract a different kind of client. But your head will say, oh, they'll never be able to afford that. Well, I've got news for you. I got news for you. People are affording that every single day, and that's cheap in the world of web design. It's about upgrading your expectations for yourself. Where do you want to be working? Do you want to be working with poor people who can't afford you? They're going to give you the runaround. They haven't got any of the stuff to give you to make a decent
they're
website.
Actually the worst clients. The worst
and then they'll complain
again. Oh, the worst type of clients, honestly.
And then they'll complain your website isn't working for them because they haven't got a clue what they expected it to do.
Whereas what you just said reminds me of what's her name? I can't. Anyway, let me not say her. I can't even remember her name now. She teaches photography, and when I was doing cake decorating, I used to learn a lot from people that teach photography, because somehow they're related, the creative business thing, and same problems as well. But she said one thing that really stuck with me. She said she was charging, how did she say? She was charging oyster prices before she could. Is it oyster or the other one was lobster? She was charging lobster prices when she could not afford to eat lobster.
Okay.
You know, as in she never looked at her pricing based on what she could afford.
Yes,
you know,
exactly,
and I even when I was teaching cake decorators how to do business, I would say to them, I said, I cannot pay the price I charge for my cakes. I can't even pay those prices. I wouldn't pay those prices, but I charge those prices, you know, and it's just the same. It's actually just the same principle.
Yeah.
You know,
there's no point in going. This is the other way to think about it is, you know, we were talking about investment earlier, and if there's no point in investing your own time and grief and effort and sweat and tears into no point in investing all of that plus your money, because you're going to have to put some money in to start a business. There's no point in doing any of that if you're not going to get a good return on it. A professional investor would not invest in a business that's going to charge £300 for a website, because that business, that's not going to make it, that business. And so you shouldn't be investing your money, time, grief, effort, tears into a business like that. You need to think about, what kind of business do I want to create that makes it worth me investing all of that into it?
Yeah, all of your time, all of your money, all of your sweat and your
stress
attention
of dealing with
people.
Stress
and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has to be worth your while,
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were going to tell us how to make our money mindsets a
Yeah.
reality. And
Okay.
I'll just say, go and read the Money Gym. That's what I'll say. And make sure you pick up the 21 money tips, which are included in the Money Gym book. But aside from that, we have recorded a podcast episode where we started talking about those things. But so you can check that out as well.
Yeah.
But for now, what would you say? What are the things that we can do to make our money mindset a reality?
Okay. What I would do is I would sit and think quietly about rich people for a minute or two. And I would listen to your thoughts that come up when you think about rich people, whether it's the Kardashians or King Charles or whatever. There'll be one or two things that pop into your head straight away. And I call those the 3 great lies about money. And they're different for each of us. So sit and write down the thoughts that pop into your head when you think about super rich people. Can you just tell me one of them that pops into your head?
Just spoiled, like like entitled, spoiled kind
Okay.
of thing.
And
Yeah.
whose voice is saying that?
It would be my voice. I mean, when you said rich people, I just thought Russian oligarchs, super yachts, and things, and the thought that came to my mind was spoiled and
Okay.
entitled. Yeah.
So they're
yeah.
spoiled and entitled because they haven't earned it. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So or maybe
that's a negative limiting belief you've got about money there, because you don't know that all the Russian oligarchs inherited their money or just got given it. A lot of them would have had to work for it, and they would have had to work for it hard.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do is you've got to identify your limiting belief about money. You've got to think to yourself, is that really true of everybody? And if it's not true about everybody, what could be different about the people for whom it's not true? And then what you're trying to do is you're trying to replace your limiting and negative belief about money with a positive belief about money. Okay, there might be some Russian oligarchs who've worked really hard for their money. And if they've worked really hard for their money and they've become super rich, why can't I do that? Now, the only thing you need to know is, what did those oligarchs do to earn their money? And are you willing to do it? Because it might, and then that's where another belief immediately will pop up for people. Oh, they did terrible things. You don't know that. There might be a Russian oligarch out there who's made their money by delivering a great product or service to the audience that needed it. So you've got to constantly be working on your own mindset around money. And I find the best way to do that is by journaling, sitting down every day, writing a couple of pages at least, 2 or 3, about money, just about how you feel about money today and earning money and becoming rich. And if you just write it out, you'll see the limiting beliefs coming out. Like money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah, I mean, I think, do you think there's a lot of denial, that people think that they're fine when it comes to money, but they are not really fine?
Unless you've got 1 year's living expenses in the bank, you're not fine.
Okay, I mean, what about that they're fine? What I mean is fine in the sense of that, I don't have any negative money beliefs.
Well, if they're not happy about how much money they've got, then they've got some limiting beliefs. Because if you haven't got limiting beliefs, then nothing stops you. And the one thing that you'll realize when you read the 21 Money Tips book or listen to it, is that the people who are really successful are totally confident that they can succeed. That's the one. It's not a secret as such, but it's the one thing I've observed by talking to really successful people. They don't have a lack of confidence that they can achieve whatever they want to achieve. So
they know that they
can do it.
Yeah.
Because they know they won't stop. The first thing they'll do is identify what they really want. Then they know they won't stop until they get it, and they know that they'll overcome any obstacles. but they don't have that inner voice telling you can't do that. You'll never achieve that. And a lot of us who haven't succeeded as we would like to have got that inner voice going on all the time. And it's often someone else's voice. So it's your mother, it's your first boyfriend, it's your granny, it's your first boss. It's the people that told you you couldn't do it, or that it was not a worthy thing that you should be pursuing. A lot of religious people have got big hang-ups about money. A lot of religious people don't.
Yeah.
Because they've managed to reconcile the earning of money.
I would fall into the category of being a religious person, you know, and you see it a lot. You know, like it's almost like going to two extremes. Like, oh, we have to be rich, you know, and then hit everybody over the head. And then some people are like, no, I don't want to talk about money. I don't want to touch money. I don't want to, you know,
it's dirty.
Myself. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. You know, like taint yourself with money, or, you know, I think personally, you know, I think my main money belief, or, you know, the limiting belief had been that if I get rich, I would change it to change me.
Okay.
You know, so
that's interesting.
I would become arrogant, or I would become, you know, like, that kind of thing. So,
okay.
So that's
so. Do you know any rich people? Do you know any rich people who haven't changed, who've stayed the same, who are nice people?
Yeah, of course there are many.
Yeah, so there you go. You've got living proof, evidence that that's not true.
Yeah. I mean, it took a while to actually, you know, kind of uncover that, you know. But so
yeah,
you're right that we really do have to, you know, get into that quiet place where you can actually listen to what your real money beliefs are, you know, because you don't realize you're going about your business and you don't realize that these things are driving you. You just find that there's some opportunities that you don't push for, or there's some things that you hold yourself back from, and that kind of thing. You know,
it actually manifests as a physical sensation for me.
Really?
It's like a resistance. When I think about doing something that I don't feel comfortable doing or want to do, and that can be just picking up the phone
that you need to push through.
Yeah, I actually feel it as a knot in my stomach.
Really?
And that's resistance, because that's my ego trying to keep me safe, because that's what your ego does. It tries to keep you safe. And it tries to keep you safe by stopping you doing the things that will push you out of your comfort zone and make you successful.
Okay.
So that's something to listen to your body. And if you can feel a sensation of resistance or anxiety or whatever that's your body telling you, it's a symptom that your ego is trying to stop you succeed, because it wants to keep you safe.
Okay.
So surround yourself with successful people who prove that nice people can be rich. Surround yourself with people who are aspiring, who have, you know, the desire. Because if you're surrounded by people, what's the expression? You're only ever going to be as rich as the 5 people closest to you. Because if you surround yourself with aspirational people, and you can do that not by getting rid of all your old friends, but by making new ones, or finding a mentor, or finding a buddy group to work with. Find, you know, 2 or 3 people who are all trying to be successful in the same way you are, perhaps in different ways or different businesses, and meet up once a month or speak once a week on Zoom like this. You've got to surround yourself with aspirational people.
I found that, and I know this is not just about me, but I found over the past probably month, maybe because I'm trying to organize the virtual summit and meeting different people, and then also attending some different other virtual summits, you know. And I kept saying to my friend, you know, that I'm actually experiencing a higher level of thinking, you know. So it's like you're being around people who think differently.
Yeah.
From the way you think. That, I mean, okay, I'm going to quote a Bible passage now, which I didn't mean to, but anyway, there is a way that the Bible says there's a way that seems right to a man, but the road leads to destruction. In other words, you're doing your thing and you think you're fine. You think there's nothing wrong with you and all that kind of thing. You think you're doing okay, especially in the way you're thinking. You're like, okay, I'm okay. I'm a good person. I'm a hardworking person. But then you now meet some people and they think differently. They kind of like have, that's the only way I can describe it, like a higher level of thinking. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. People, there's just a way, it's hard to describe. So being around somebody like that kind of makes you to, want to aspire, or makes you actually start opening up your mind, or opens up your mind to new ways of looking at things, new ways of looking at life, and being more, not just in the moment, but also thinking more long term, thinking more strategically and all that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I call it the spark of life. It's really funny. When my kids were little, all their friends would come round and I would open house. I love lots of kids, and you'd spot one or two of them who had the spark of something else. And it's absolutely fine to live a lovely, quiet life, just doing the things you want to do and have children and get married and be happy and whatever. If you are happy, that's the key. Happiness is the symptom that everything's fine, or that something needs to change. If you're not happy, or you have a little bit of a burn inside you for a little bit more, that's the symptom that you need to grow a bit. And by growing a bit, you surround yourself by other people, and then doors open and people come along and you meet more and more people. I mean, I could tell you story after story after story of what happened to me after I stood in that living room and thought, there's nothing wrong with me, I just don't know something. Because people start appearing in your life, and it's so
exactly,
spooky.
That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. It's almost like what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
And that's so true. And mentors, people who are willing to help you for nothing. I mean, I've got one mentor. We kept going out for lunch and I kept thinking, what does he want? What does he want? Literally. And I thought he wants me to help him write a book or something. There's got to be something.
Those conversations that actually,
And I asked him one day, I said, what do you want? Why are we having these lunches? And he said, because I want to be your friend. But I just had got into this mindset that it was always business. And it just doesn't have to be. People just want to be around you.
Yeah. So we were talking about how people show up in your life when you need them to. And I'm actually hoping that this virtual summit would be just what somebody needs to take them, to their next step. I didn't join Nicola's mentoring program because she's coming to be a speaker. I know that this is a time when I do need a mentor. This being in this online space and the places that you want to go and where you want to take it, and how you want to grow it as a business, you really do need people. And like we were saying, when you're ready, the people appear.
And talking about upgrading your I think of it as upgrading your RAM, your operating system. And so if you want to do better, you have to upgrade your operating system. And one of the ways to do that is by listening to summits and listening to podcasts. I mean, absolutely brilliant, because you can do them when you're doing other things. You can do them when you're walking the dog. You can do them when you're putting the washing in. You can do them when you're washing up. I listen to podcasts all the time, and I watch videos. I'm a visual person, so you have to know what your
learning style.
Yeah, I'm a visual kinesthetic, so I find it very difficult to listen to things without seeing someone like we are today. But I can if I'm doing a boring job like hanging up the washing. And it makes that feel like not such a waste of time.
Yeah.
So knowing your learning style is important as well. Immersing yourself in the same people I know, because we've listened to a load of people who were rubbish and we've picked out the good ones, and people become successful what's that expression that Steve Jobs used to say? Success leaves traces.
Yes, it lives too.
And the fact that we know the same people and we finally, have met, there's a reason for that. And that's because you can only look back on what's happened to you in your life and how you got to a place by looking back and saying, well, if I hadn't done that, then that wouldn't have happened and I wouldn't have met that person. So I can look back on all the amazing people I've met who've helped me.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
always been
yeah.
as a result of some action that I've taken.
Yes, I like we said earlier, it's almost as if you meet the person at the time when you need that thing. So it's almost like you're learning, but you're building it in layers. So it doesn't all come at you at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there are levels that I will get to, and then after that, there's still other levels that I will get to. So what I need for this level is what is coming to me at this time, and this kind of goes a bit into the who I believe in God, so from God, but you would say from the universe or whatever it is that you would.
It's all the same.
Yeah, it's so there's everybody's path is different.
Yes.
But if you are intentional about going along your path, you will get what you need or find what you need at every point in time. I really do believe that.
And
so
if you're open to it as well, so many people I meet, they ask me for advice, and I can see as I'm responding that they're glazing over. They're not ready for it yet, and they're rejecting it immediately. And that is very common. So when you meet someone who doesn't reject it, whose eyes are wide open and bright, and they're listening and they're intent, you can feel it. You can feel it, and that makes people want to help you. Talking about layers of mentors, my mentor, who I've interviewed a couple of times on my channel, he's gone off on holiday next week with another mentor of mine, and they're going to stay with their mentor in Portugal for a week, because everybody has mentors. They get older as you go up the levels.
Yeah.
But it's in the same way that I mentor people who come to my academy, but I also mentor one of my son's friends, because as I was saying when I earlier, they all used to come around to my house, and I would look, I'd talk to them all, and some of them were just nice kids, but some of them had a little spark in their eye. And this boy is he's a plumber, and he became a plumber, and he's dyslexic, so he didn't do very well at school, but he's doing very well as a plumber. And he wanted to know what he should invest his extra money in. And I told him about Bitcoin, and he was like really excited about Bitcoin. So I showed him how to get some Bitcoin, and he keeps putting a bit of his money every month into the Bitcoin. And he said, what else can I invest in now? And I told him about some silver and gold, and his eyes were like wide and shiny and excited. And so I showed him how to buy silver and gold coins, because they're really good, because they don't carry any capital gains tax. And they're real money. It's real money. It's like legal tender. So no capital gains tax. You can buy them one at a time. So he started buying that, and he says, can I take you for a drink occasionally and just pick your brains? I said, but I would only say yes to him because he's interested.
Yeah. So
and he takes action.
Comes back to that. What did you say? Upgrade your RAM. So it's almost like you have to create an environment around yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to be intentional about that, creating that environment around yourself in terms of what you're trying to receive, or what you're receiving, and who you are around or who you're receiving it from. Yeah, well, that's what I'm hearing when you.
And also, you can pay it forward even when you're just starting out. You can help other people. I mean, when I first started trying to learn how money works, I started an email newsletter. And I would send it out every week, and it went out the first week to 10 people, which was my family. I did it as a way of keeping track of myself every week. I've just done a video about this on my YouTube channel called God, what's it called? I can't remember. It's one of the last 2 or 3, and it's about keeping track of your week. What have you done this week? What went well? What did you struggle with? What do you need help with?
I need to do that. I need to be doing that.
Just so I wrote an email to myself, but sent it out to my family and said, even if you don't read this, it'll keep, because I know what I'm like. I'm not very consistent unless I've got other people depending on me. So by sending it out as an email, I ensured that I would actually do it every week. And
Wow.
it's just so helpful.
That's helping me because I think I hoard my ideas more than anything. My books are full and
Okay.
my social media is empty, well, relatively empty, you know. In fact, there was something that you said, and this is an aside, we might end up editing this out, but there was something that I read you say, and you said how it drives you bonkers when people put too many obstacles for, buying, too many obstacles to people buying from you. They create friction.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Honestly,
make it easy for people to buy from you.
Honestly, that is like my mantra, and it actually drives me crazy. I was like, I love this woman. Yes, it really drives me. I'll tell you what happened to me in Malta when I went to I was really horrible in Malta in the sense that I didn't do any of the touristy things. I stayed indoors. I ate, I slept, I relaxed, and I worked. Well, at my own pace, but with no distractions, nobody to cook for, nothing. So I was able to get some work done. And so on the last day, I said to myself, let me go to the city and, see the
It's a pretty city, Valletta, isn't it?
Very beautiful, very beautiful. So of course, I said, let me just go to a co-working place.
Okay.
I'll go into Valletta and then I'll go to, so I Googled, I looked for a co-working place near the fountain, saw the fountain, took some pictures, and I went to co-working, which is inside, I'm going to say where it is. It's inside the M&S. I tried to go into the place and they said, it's, you have to they have to give you a card to go up. So I called and I was like, I would like to do a 1-day co-working. I checked the price already, like 20 euros or so. I would like to do a 1-day co-working. I'm downstairs. Can I come up? And the man says to me that I should go to their website, go away, go to their website, sign up, pay the money. I said, I'm downstairs. No, sign up, pay the money, then they'll give me the card, then I can come back and then I can. I was like, oh my God.
Why they couldn't have come up, what they should have done was said, come upstairs, have a seat, let me get you a drink, and then let's do this for you. Yeah. Yeah, crazy. Crazy.
Like, this was, I was like, oh my God, this is just a perfect example of this thing I'm always saying about why make it so hard for somebody to buy from you. Yeah. And I was like, no, I said, but I'm downstairs. I'm by your door. Literally.
That is just crazy.
With money in my hand, I'm here to pay you, and you're oh my God! But we do that all the time online. It really, really drives me crazy.
It's so important because it's interesting because there's two contrasting ideas here. There's the idea that people don't buy from you the first time, so you have to give them lots of reassurance. You have to give them lots of, like on your website, and I had websites like that for a very long time, and I think they're brilliant. You give them everything they need to make a buying decision. But then when they're ready to click that button, you have to make sure there's plenty of those buttons along the way.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've done now is I've simplified my website. I think I've got the bare bones of what people need to make a decision. But that's because a lot of people come to my website from social media. So they're watching, they're either reading my books or they're watching my videos or they're listening to the podcast. And that gets people to know you, like you, and trust you. So when they come to my website, they don't need a lot of convincing. They're ready to buy.
Because even before I reached out to you, I watched several of your videos. I went on your website, so I got to know you before I said,
and that didn't put you off at all.
Yeah, and I'll be like, I really like this. I like what she's talking about. She seems to know what she's talking about, blah blah blah. And yes, I did all. You do,
and then you found the button easy enough. Yeah. So it's important to make it easy for people to buy, but give them everything they need to make a buying decision. And that's how you decide, and different people will do that different ways. So some people will want to, some people are not confident being on camera. Some people are better at writing. Some people are better at speaking. Some people are better at creating a podcast where people can't see them. So you've got to decide. We all have to create content to get people to know, like, and trust us. And the way you create content has got to be comfortable for you, or you won't do it. And it's got to be fun, or you won't do it. And yes, you can outsource a lot of it. So the program that I have inside my academy is called Be Everywhere Online, and it's basically the thing that I use to promote my business. So I thought about what's the most I can write. I can write blog posts. I've written blog posts for years. I can create podcasts where I did the whole business success podcast where I interviewed people, and it was audio only, and I struggled with that. They like it because they don't have to appear on camera, but I struggled with it because I find it very difficult just to listen to someone rather than talking to them like we are now. So my fun way of doing my content is to speak to camera and to appear on things like this. And then I can take it and I can spin it off into audio. I can spin it off into written stuff. I can spin it off into a book if I want to. So think about your most enjoyable, fun way of creating content that will enable your ideal customer to know, like, and trust you. And then just get started. And it doesn't matter if you're rubbish. If you look at some of my videos, I mean, I've had that channel for years. I've stripped off a lot of the old videos, but if you look back at my earliest ones that you can see from November, you'll see that my camera wasn't great. The lighting wasn't great. I was fluffing a little bit. I just had to get started because I knew if I didn't start, I would never do it. But that's what I'm saying. People get hung up on the details, whereas I just got started. And it was good. If your content's good, if you know what you're talking about, if you're an expert in something, or if you're just a bit more expert than other people in something, then you can get started and you will attract people to you like I've met you.
Yeah. I still have it at the back of my mind, like, oh, I should have put eyeliner on. I should have put on my earrings. I didn't even put on my powder. That
You're
kind of
just
thing.
making obstacles for yourself. It'll make it, if you do your videos and you're always beautifully made up and coiffured and you got your earrings on, then next time, if you want to make a video, you won't do it because you haven't got those things in place.
That's it. That is exactly.
I used to wear makeup all the time. Wouldn't be seen dead without it. And then I got to the stage when Steve died and I cried all the time, so my makeup washed off. I just thought, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not putting makeup on anymore. It's a waste of time. I'm just going to get on camera and be myself. You don't know what you don't know. Here's a good one. You don't know what I'm supposed to look like in my head. All you know is what I actually look like.
Yeah, because I'm like, I remember looking at the picture of my sister-in-law, my darling sister-in-law, and she was smiling and looking beautiful in the picture. And as soon as she saw the picture, I was like, look at the gap in my teeth. And I'm like, I didn't even see the gap in your teeth. Why are you, Oh, there you go. There you go. So I think she has one of these. I have it as well, where one of her teeth were pulled. So we just put laser focus on what nobody else is seeing and use that one to kind of hold ourselves back. Okay, so I love the way that you recommend books. In the podcast episode, you recommended a book.
There's actually a podcast episode of my top 30 business books of all time.
Okay.
And that's a video on YouTube as well.
To check out as well. In fact, I saw I watched one of your videos where you talked about 25 tips in 25 years.
25 years in 25 minutes.
Yeah, in 25 minutes. Yeah, and I was like, this is nice. I hope people go check that out as well. So yes, the Learned Optimism book is what you mentioned in
very important. E-Myth Revisited. Rich Dad, Poor Dad's a good one. That's all about the psychology of money. So I've got a book for every occasion.
Okay, so I was going to ask you to recommend one or two more.
Okay.
But if you
about
use
money particularly.
money and
Okay.
mindset, money and mindset.
Yeah, a good one is T. Harv Eker. Now what's it called?
The millionaire,
The Millionaire Mindset.
really?
Yeah, it's very good. And it's the only one that talks about how couples should handle their money.
Really?
There's some very interesting chapters in that about couples and money. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously couples tend to be different. There's some people that say, oh, this in every couple there's a spender and the saver, or there's the whatever and the whatever. So there's couples.
I know your audience is women largely.
Yeah.
You mentioned that before. It's very important for women because we have a terrible time when we end up having children. Because even if we were high earners, and I see this in my generation, in my daughter's generation, as soon as you have a child, you become dependent on the man for a short amount of time. And you need to have a conversation with the guy you get together with before you fall in love with them to find out what their money mindset is. Before you fall in love with them, you need to have money conversations with men.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Even before you fall in love, because, it's too late once you fall in love.
Yeah.
You need to know what their money mindset is. You need to know if they're open to the idea of proportional finances, which means that if the man earns, like, say the man earns 100 grand a year and the woman earns 50 grand a year, then the man should put your expenses together and you should pay proportionally. So if the woman's earning half as much as the man, she should pay half as much of the household expenses.
Yeah.
And it should be proportional. And T. Harv Eker talks about how important this is, that you pay proportionally, because a lot of times women will try and pay half. The man gets to keep the rest of his money, and the woman's got no money left. So she's got no savings. She's got no backup if anything goes wrong. And if she has a child, he's then got to step up because he's now earning 100% of the income in the house. So he should pay 100% of the expenses. But what I see is women using their savings to carry on contributing half the household income, when that's just not fair. So you've got to have these conversations before you end up backed into a corner.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so like for instance, if you're talking about proportional, so maybe like you and your husband or me and my husband, we both put into a pot, which is for the household. So if he earns 100, he might put half of his, and then that'll be 50. And then if I earn 50, then I'll put half of mine, that'll be 25, and that'll be the pot.
And if the 75 covers, 75, whatever it is, covers the household expenses, that's great. And if it doesn't, then you need to both put in a little bit more, but proportionally according to your income. Because otherwise women end up spending all their money on the household and the children, nothing for themselves, which makes them feel terrible.
We do, don't we? We do.
Yeah. Yes, and I got this from T. Harv Eker's book, The Millionaire Mind. It's just very, very good.
A couple of days ago, was it yesterday? I paid for something for my husband and he gave me the cash, and so the cash was just sitting out of my bag. And I looked at the money and I said to myself, in the end, I'm going to end up giving him this money. It's just one of those things. In the end, it's not really my money. In the end, I'm just going to end up giving him the money for whatever, shopping around the house or whatever. That kind of thing.
What you're doing there is you're making yourself smaller. You're making yourself less worthy. You're making yourself not as important as him. And that carries over into your business life. You're going to always defer to men. If in business, you're going to think subconsciously somewhere, you're going to think you're not worthy of being paid as much as a man. You're not worthy of keeping your money that you've earned. That's something you've got to think about carefully there, because that's a big obstacle to your success. You're thinking that you're not worth as much.
I mean, some of these things can be hard to hear, but it's it's something that you have to, something that we have to confront,
Yeah,
we
all
and
have
say,
our
okay,
challenges. We
yeah,
all do.
what's this about? I'm always all about that. Like, pay attention. What's this about? Why am I acting this way? Why am I doing this? Where is this coming from?
It's always coming from your childhood, because your parents, they do their best for you, but they pass on their own hang-ups.
Oh yeah.
I think Woody Allen had a phrase that I won't repeat on your summit, but it was quite apt about your mum and dad and what they do to you. But they're not doing that. They're not trying to do harm. They're trying to make your life better, but by teaching you the lessons that they learned.
That they learned,
they might
that
not be the right lessons for you.
Yeah, that's it. It's true. It's true. And I mean, because we're talking freelancer to CEO, for somebody who says, I want to transition, and I think the reason why I started, or I went down this route of doing this as a topic, was because this is where I am now. I have been transitioning probably for the past year or so, transitioning from freelancer to CEO, in the sense of, like, really not just being so reactive to what I'm doing, because she's good at what she does. Give her something to do, and then you don't have a plan. You don't know where your next customer is coming from. You just get jobs and you're busy, but you're reacting more than actually creating. So this is where I was, and so it is very important for us to really ask ourselves these sometimes hard questions. And like you said, at the beginning, and I think you need to say your story. You said that you stood in your front room. I'll repeat it, because I think the sound was funny. You stood in your front room and you said to yourself, "What am I doing wrong? Why?
What's wrong with me?" I was thinking, what's wrong with me?
What's wrong? And, what's wrong with me?
Why am I not more successful? Why can't I save money and keep it? What's wrong with me? But that was the wrong question. The wrong question. The right question was, and it came to me that afternoon, what don't I know that I need to know?
Yeah. So what's missing? What's the missing thing? And that's what we're hoping to get here. I love that you said upgrade your
operating system.
I love that. I love that so much, because that is really, once you're a freelancer and you want to become a CEO, you have to upgrade your operating system.
Yeah.
And what's your operating system? Is that foundation that runs everything. It runs your thought process. It runs your habits. It runs your,
your actions. Yeah.
Your actions. I don't know whether I'm going to, but one of the first people that was recommended to me as a speaker is somebody, and I think we're going to have her by God's grace. She's someone who, it's funny, she said she deals with grief. So I was like, why are you sending me? So in my mind, I was like, why is she sending me somebody who deals with grief and loss and all that? But really, what she deals with is the emotions that are related to that come up when we are undergoing a process of transition, a process of change. And I think it really goes very well with what you're saying. Like, we're in if you're going to say, okay, I want to become the CEO. I've been running my business as a freelancer. Then there is a process, and it's a transition, and it can be like a lot of upheaval. And the process really involves you upgrading your operating system.
I think it was T. Harv Eker, who we've just been talking about, who said an expression that I love very much, which is the reason you need to set a goal to become a millionaire is not about the money. It's about the people you'll meet and the person you'll become along the way. And I love that.
Oh, I didn't even know that part about the people you meet. But yeah, that's fantastic.
The people you meet and the person you'll become along the way.
Yeah. I mean,
Nice,
that
huh?
makes it worth it. That really makes it worth it, you know. It makes your life becomes more interesting. So you set a goal to make a million. You're like, oh no, I don't need a million. I just need to be comfortable. I just need a couple of thousand every month, you know, and we do all that. And but we don't know that by setting a bigger goal, we're actually kind of asking more of ourselves, stretching
Yeah,
ourselves more.
yeah. We're
Mm.
starting to upgrade our operating system.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. I think that's a great place to.
Put a period.
I'd be delighted to be invited back on any of your summits. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so very much for honoring us, and thank you. So again, tell us what you have for us in store for us.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll
Maybe,
give anyone who wants it a copy of my an ebook copy of my Money Gym book, and
okay.
also my Money Gym tips book. And if they're interested, they can have a copy of my Attract 3.0 book, which is the book about how to market your business better online. And all of those I'll give you a special link to send people to, and I'll know they came from you that way, Emmy.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I would also recommend to check out the
Clicks and Leads.
Clicks and Leads. I keep saying Clicks and Leads.
Yeah.
Clicks and Leads Academy.
Yes, Clicks and Leads Academy. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. It's still a very reasonable price to join.
It's
so
dirt cheap.
Yeah, it is. It is affordable, and so it's a no-brainer. And at this point where it's still it's kind of like being renewed and just growing again, is a great time to join, so that you get more access to.
Every week I'm on the phone ready to answer questions and help people.
Yes.